This just in from the White House. We found out that President Biden has spoken with Israel's President Isaac Herzog in a call Monday, reaffirming our commitment to achieving a deal in Gaza to bring those hostages home. Of course, there are 4 Americans being held hostage by Hamas or by a subsidiary group in Gaza right now. They've spoken via phone and reaffirmed our support as the United States in getting those 4 Americans home. Well, on to this. We are watching closely while millions of Americans brace for another monster storm, this time Hurricane Milton. It's intensifying quickly, and it could hit at catastrophic levels. This new storm is headed to the U.S. just days after Hurricane Helene ravaged the Southeast. The suffering and destruction is astounding. Over 230 people are dead, many still missing, and desperate Americans are still without key supplies. Many residents of the hardest hit areas say they feel totally abandoned, claiming that they're being forced to fend for themselves because assistance from FEMA and the Biden-Harris administration is not able to reach them. With the federal government nowhere in sight, distressed residents have been relying on neighbors, on private organizations for help. One Helene victim telling the New York Post that FEMA said they were not coming because of a, quote, road closed sign. Struggling and devastated Americans are asking, when will someone step in?
I think that our government can do more, because we're going to need the help. There's roads gone.
There's so much more that could be done, and giving us $750 if you can even apply for it is ridiculous.
Where is the help for Western North Carolina? We can send billions to Ukraine, and we can't help Western North Carolina.
The response time right now is extremely slow, if at all, in some areas. I know haven't really been touched except by the locals.
President Biden is here today. Do you have a message for him?
Yeah, whoopee-doo, and where are you at when everything else happens?
Good questions. And now members of the Republican Party are expressing their outrage to the White House's storm response.
When you talk to the people who are directly affected, they will tell you that this has been an abject failure. FEMA has lost sight of its core mission. The Federal Emergency Management Association, their mission is to help people in times like this of natural disaster, not to be engaged in using any pool of funding from any account for resettling illegal aliens who have come across the border.
The other is federal coordination. Very slow. Government was caught flat-footed. Biden administration didn't come out of the gate.
This administration seems to have no problem finding money when they want to spend it on their priorities. When they need hundreds of billions of dollars to pay off student loans for graduate students in gender studies programs, they somehow find it. When it's trying to get helicopters to deliver food and water and cellular service and life-saving medicine into these mountain valleys, they somehow can't seem to find the money.
Guy, I mean, the bottom line, because you have entities trying to fact-check Republicans on this, the bottom line is, one, what the residents said, but number two, President Biden did not go to FEMA headquarters on camera. The first time we saw anyone from the administration there was Kamala Harris on Monday when the storm occurred on Thursday.
There was a long delay here. The president finally got down there and then returned to the White House. Someone asked him about the affected states in the storm zone, and he didn't know which storm they were talking about at first, and then said, oh, everyone's very happy. They're all very happy across the board, paraphrasing. And we just heard from a few people who would dissent from that view, who live in that area. I had a gentleman who's from Save Our Allies, who's doing some of this work on the ground in North Carolina, who's on my radio show on Friday. He estimated 90% of the efforts that he has seen have come from private citizens and organizations, not from the government. It's too delayed, it's too little, and to pretend like that didn't happen is preposterous.
So we have Tim Kennedy from Save Our Allies. He was on America's Newsroom earlier, reflecting exactly what you just said. Let's listen.
We arrived the day after the hurricane landed. While nobody could get through roads, we're taking four-wheelers and getting in there. When there's no hotels with power, we're taking four-wheelers and sleeping in the back of SUVs. What was clearly absent was the state and federal response. The men and women that showed up from FEMA, it's still woefully absent. There was no command and control. We were begging and pleading for the state to hand over control, C2, command and control of the incident command system, to the United States military.
I mean, Martha, this is insane. Walmart managed to show up along with several other private organizations.
Honestly, Kayleigh, I can't think of any better demonstration for the bloated inefficiency of a large government. I mean, that is what we're watching here. We see time and time again, Save Our Allies, Rubicon, they're able to get stuff done. They're former military people. They know how to cut through and say, look, here's what needs to happen right now. And the fact that we're hearing from Karine Jean-Pierre that, you know, this FEMA money goes for the immigrants in cities, this FEMA money is going towards relief efforts, and that money is going to run out. And we see this other hurricane that's barreling towards the coast. I don't know what else people need to see other than to look at this situation, to listen to the people on the ground. I know there's a lot of politics going back and forth here, but the person I interviewed and countless other people saying, look, we're neighbors helping neighbors, and we're getting some help from private groups, but the government cannot handle this stuff. They step all over their own feet. They don't know who's talking to whom, and it's the perfect demonstration of large bureaucratic government that's falling all over itself.
And Molly, maybe the most tone-deaf tweet of the century came from Vice President Kamala Harris saying, I'm concerned about the security and well-being of citizens suffering in Lebanon. We'll continue to work to help meet the needs of civilians there. To that end, the U.S. will provide nearly $157 million in additional assistance to the people of Lebanon. How about the people of Asheville?
It's just amazing to see something like that come out during this sensitive period. It's not just the delay in getting down there. It's that what they've been offering people is a few $100 to help with rebuilding. We're still in the rescue and recovery operations right now. And the lack of attention from the federal government is appalling, particularly when they're spending so much money overseas, hard-earned taxpayer money to fight wars overseas or to help out the people of Lebanon and just leave these people in the dust.
You know, Ainsley, I'm curious to see how this plays out because Thursday, President Biden is supposed to leave to go overseas. It's being described by CNN as a non-urgent diplomatic trip to Germany and Angola. Well, when the hurricane hits Wednesday night and Thursday morning, is he still going to head over for that non-urgent trip?
I hope not. They're getting a double whammy. We have friends all in the Tampa area. Houses were flooded. One neighborhood, my friend used to live in that neighborhood. She went back to it. 3 houses had burned down, totally lost everything. That is nothing even compared to what we're seeing, the mass devastation in North Carolina. My friend's brother is a builder in the Charlotte area, and he packed up his truck with a friend, went to Home Depot, got a bunch of supplies. And the sister says that one guy with FEMA came to Marshall, North Carolina about 2 days after the storm. He assessed the area and said they need everything. Capital letters. No one has come back, not one person with FEMA. The government, et cetera, the locals have band together and are organizing a cleanup.
Yeah, and Governor Kemp had to call and say, what about the rural counties? Make sure they get federal declarations.
They spent $1.4 billion on migrants. They gave $30 million to the North Carolina area.
Priorities, that's what that tells you.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kayleigh McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.